institutions, political factions, and an uncertain economic context. South Africa is no stranger to this phenomenon, ladies and gentlemen. We still find ourselves grappling with structural and systemic deficits and the siphoning off of resources. The legacy of state capture and other corrupt practices has resulted in a deeply entrenched culture of distrust in South African society. In 2022, Edelman South Africa released a cycle of distrust, which revealed that 69% of South Africans do not believe information until they see trustworthy evidence. This is based on a lack of faith in government and media institutions. In the same year, the Afrobarometer opinion poll indicated that trust in the country's parliament stands at just 27%, while trust in the president comes in at 88%, and trust in the courts of law has dropped to 43%. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond these difficult statistics, the effects of corruption in society are harrowing. Not only does corruption impact trust and social cohesion, but it also contributes to service delivery failures and infrastructure challenges. There was an article recently, I don't know how many of you saw it, that in Limpopo around 400 million, I don't know what word to use, I wouldn't say disappeared, but was allocated to build roads and nothing has been done. I mean, 400 million is a lot, isn't it? I lived in one country and I worked in this country, and I was like, if it was in this country, oh, this thing, yeah, people would be in jail, right? I visited this village recently and I was told by an elderly person, there's a gravel road like 7 Ks, and the elderly man said 67 million was spent for a road that does not exist. Somebody pocketed 67 million, still there's no road. And people are walking freely. Research from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, even suggests that corruption directly leads to increased inequality and greater poverty. Maybe I should add, people die because of this if they talk out. Not just poverty, not just inequality, can also lead to death. Directly or indirectly, if you go to a hospital and there are no medication, people die that should not pass on. If you speak out, people get shot. Tackling corruption, ladies and gentlemen, head on is part of addressing these challenges. As leaders step into positions of power and influence, they must do so honestly and ethically. This report, ladies and gentlemen, demonstrates this phenomenon and more. It reveals that the challenges we face as a nation, whether political, economic, social, or environmental, are deeply interconnected with the quality of leadership at all levels of society. This is where the philosophy of Ubuntu offers a powerful framework for ethical leadership. In understanding organizational leadership through Ubuntu, Chiku Malunga argues that Ubuntu calls for leaders that determine the way for others based on African values such as honesty, sincerity, dignity, and respect for others. This goes beyond the traditional hierarchical notions of leadership and focuses on building strong relationships, fostering social cohesion, creating a purpose, and encouraging environments that promote the collective well-being. Similarly, in Ubuntu leadership, an explication of an Afrocentric leadership style, Eugene Lalu argues that there now needs to be a view to encompass traditionally African leadership theories such as Ubuntu. Yet, as Kwame Asamoah and Emmanuel Yeboah Asiama argue, our current context is at odds with this theory. As the authors state, the siphoning of public resources and widespread corruption in Africa is paradoxical, as Ubuntu calls for the promotion of the welfare of the society as collective. If we consider the impact of this approach globally, Ubuntu as a leadership theory promotes social cohesion and thus has the potential to reduce conflict. Additionally, Ubuntu offers insight into how leaders can promote sustainable development. Ubuntu, ladies and gentlemen, intrinsically emphasizes the importance of taking a long-term perspective and considering the impact of decisions on future generations. Those who steal today, those who steal money that is meant to build schools, they are not, doing the future generation a favor. Those that donate solar panels for school and then criminals come take them at night with big guns are impacting the next generations. And these are the things that we should worry about. I'm sure many of you will think I'm crazy for saying, I think we need criminals with a conscience, with honor, to say, no, this is where I draw the line. I am not going to steal solar panels meant for the school for the next generation. This is where I draw the line. I don't know if that will be acceptable, but if we have any hope, ladies and gentlemen, of building a strong and capable state once again, predicated on ethical leadership, the priority needs to be on building trust through demonstrable honesty and integrity. This calls for a stand against corruption in every form. We must thus revert to the basic tenets of true leadership in ways authentic to our context. To return to our constitution, we the people, implies that every citizen has a role to play in shaping the society we live in. Democracy, ladies and gentlemen, is fundamentally participatory and demands our engagement and our commitment to one another. For those of us in positions of influence, it serves as a grounding force. Our authority is derived from the people, and we are accountable to them. Our authority is derived from the people, and we are accountable to them. Now, this was not part of my speech, but I'm going to add this, Mr. President. We had coffee and muffin, and creative juices were flowing. We started talking about things but this issue of accountability. Yes, as leaders, we must be held accountable, and by the people we lead. But we need a balance between true accountability and some weird accountability that many leaders amongst us will testify that we are seeing. People tell you, I'm holding you accountable. I'm like, who are you? Everybody's holding you accountable. People say, I want 40% of all the tenders, and say, hell no, then I'm holding you accountable. The people start saying, I was walking on campus, the campus looked clean, but, I'm holding, this is nonsense. Many of you will identify with this. Then there will be this witch hunt investigations that don't know where they're coming from. Yes, leaders must be held accountable. Tone at the top is important, but we must also talk about tone at the bottom. Because as leaders, as the president was saying, leaders are busy in meetings and all this. There are people who are busy with some of these reports. Like if you are not aligned, then you're going to have a challenge. And thinking as a lawyer, I'm like, we need to go back to the rules of natural justice, which are timeless. For example, here the other side is critical, Of course, it's difficult, as Mr. President was saying, that in this age of social media, you are guilty until proven otherwise. Yes. But we should, as leaders, ensure that there is accountability, but at the same time, we need to hear the other side. People must be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Rules such as, you cannot be a judge and a jury and everything in your own case. We need to look at those to ensure that, at the end of the day, we are fair to those that we lead, Ladies and gentlemen, the positioning of risk and opportunity themes in this report is a reminder that collective success cannot only be achieved by the state or leaders somewhere else. It can only be achieved when the everyday action of everyday people at home, at work, or in public result in better collective outcomes. How often do we see on television people saying we are holding people accountable, but the truth of the matter, they are protecting criminals. So there is this series, I'm not advertising this one, but there's this series on one of these streaming services of this gangster who says to this young man, say, this world ain't set up for an honest man. Are we going to accept that this world is not set for an honest man? Are we going to say everybody's dishonest, so even the honest should join them? I'll say to you this morning, we should continue to do what is right. Even if, we know that the odds are stacked against honest people. Honest people are treated like criminals. It's not fashionable to be honest. But we need to continue to do what is right. Because at the end of the day, we'll sleep well at night. That's why I refer to this one. I say it can only be achieved, that is, what we are talking about, if everyday action, by everyday people at home, at work, lead to these collective outcomes that we desire. Ladies and gentlemen, combining this reminder with the basic tenets of true leadership compels us to rediscover our social duty to lead where we are. Each one of us must pursue our own opportunities while managing our own risks in the best interest of the collective. Together, creating a risk culture to support a sustainable, risk-resilient country. So we should not use this theme of that we're managing risk for witch hunt, which is also happening, is the truth that we have to mention. No, we're mitigating risk. But we realize that, no, here people are up to no good. I had to throw it out there, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, this will build the individual and collective institutional and leadership capacity we need for a resilient and sustainable future. And indeed, in this pursuit, we are reminded that progress and possibility begins with the very idea of we, the people. At the end of the day, it's about the people. Those that are here today, and those that will be walking these grounds in years to come. And we do it for them. Our great-grandchildren that we may not meet, we must think about them. Ladies and gentlemen, let me pause there. Thank you so much for your attention and the opportunity.